woof. Go ahead and do that, and then comment woof woof if you're not, so I know who the real subscribers are in the comments. You guys know I like to read and reply comments when I can. Okay, some big news broke recently. If you've been living under a rock, here it is. Ian Rappaport had said that star quarterback Joe Burrow is feared to have suffered a grade 3 turf toe injury, one that would require surgery and put him out for at least 3 months. That means the Bengals are in the market for a quarterback. They've been looking for free agents. They're also calling up teams, trying to make trades, I would believe. And it's because their room is kind of empty without Burrow. I mean,
don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Joe Burrow goes down, and the entire NFL feels the earthquake. I mean, let's just call it what it is. This isn't just a foot injury. This is a franchise-altering disaster for the Cincinnati Bengals. A team that had Super Bowl aspirations. A team that was supposed to be right there with Kansas City and Buffalo. Suddenly wakes up and realizes their golden boy is sidelined. Not for a week, not for a month. We're talking surgery. We're talking months, maybe the season. And just like that, the entire AFC North is flipped upside down. Think about how fast this unraveled. One minute the Bengals are being hyped as a legitimate contender. The next, they're staring down the barrel of Jake Browning trying to keep them afloat. And no disrespect to Browning, but let's be real, that's not taking you through Baltimore, that's not keeping pace with Mahomes, and that's definitely not striking fear into the Steelers or Browns. Cincinnati fans know it, the front office knows it, the players in that locker room know it. Without Burrow, the Bengals are exposed. And that's why the word desperation doesn't even feel strong enough right now. This isn't just about finding a backup quarterback to hand the ball off for 3 months. This is about saving their season. This is about survival. You lose a player like Burrow, you're not just losing a quarterback, you're losing an identity. The cool, unshakable confidence, the poise under pressure, the guy who made Jamar Chase and T. Higgins look unstoppable. All of that evaporates the moment Burrow's out of the huddle. So what do desperate teams do? They start dialing. They start throwing proposals at anybody who will pick up the phone. And when the Bengals looked around, saw their playoff hopes slipping away, they locked their eyes on one name, Shedeur Sanders. Now here's why that's such a wild move. It's not just that Shedeur's young and unproven. It's that he represents exactly what Cincinnati is missing right now. Juice, energy, electricity. A quarterback who could walk in and instantly give fans a reason to believe again. But here's the catch. That quarterback happens to belong to their division rival, the Cleveland Browns. You don't just call up the Browns of all teams and say, hey, do us a solid, bail us out of our crisis. You don't do that. Yet here we are. That tells you how bad things are in Cincinnati. They're not thinking long-term. They're not thinking about pride. They're not even thinking about the rivalry. They're thinking about one thing, survival. And that's what makes this whole storyline so juicy, because it's not just a trade rumor. It's a window into a team in pure panic mode. A team that knows without Burrow, their season could spiral, their window could slam shut, and their fan base could go from hopeful to hopeless in a matter of weeks. Cincinnati isn't just begging for a quarterback. They're begging for a lifeline. And the wild part, the Browns hold the rope. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders, because this isn't just some rookie name being tossed around in a trade rumor. This kid is a lightning rod. He's swagger, he's charisma, he's hype, and yes, he's polarizing. But whether you love him or doubt him, you can't ignore him. And that's exactly why the Browns can't afford to treat him like a throwaway asset. When Cleveland drafted Shedeur, people had questions. 5th round, was that too low? Did teams really let him slide because of his dad? Because of the spotlight? Because of the noise? Maybe. But here's the reality. The moment he stepped onto an NFL field in preseason, you felt it. That spark, that poise, the way he carried himself in the huddle, like he'd been there before. And then he started slinging it. Quick release, clean mechanics, the confidence to zip the ball into tight windows. He wasn't just surviving out there, he was commanding. And Browns fans felt it too. You could see it online, you could hear it in the stadium. Every snap he took, people leaned in. Because Cleveland has been starving for a quarterback who feels different. Not another placeholder, not another guy you just hope won't blow it. Shedeur feels like possibility, like the future. And in a city that's lived through decades of heartbreak at the QB position, possibility is everything. But it's bigger than just football. Shedeur Sanders brings star power. He brings marketability. He brings a new generation of fans who are tuning in just to see what he does. The jersey sales, the social media buzz, the way national outlets already have him circled as a storyline. That's rare. That's not something you ship off to your division rival for a couple of draft picks that may never pan out. And let's not forget, this is Cleveland. This is a franchise that's been laughed at, doubted, clowned by the media for decades. Finally, they have something that feels electric. A quarterback who can carry not just a football but a brand, a movement, a wave of belief. That's what Shedeur represents. And you don't sell hope cheap. You don't hand it over to Cincinnati just because they're panicking. The Browns know what they have, the fans know what they feel, and if Shedeur even gets a real shot to prove it on the field, this wild card might just become the ace of the franchise. Because here's the truth, every time he steps under center, every time he throws that ball with swagger and composure, you start to wonder, is this the guy who changes everything for Cleveland? And if he is, imagine how foolish they'd look giving that away. And here's where the story gets messy. Because for every ounce of excitement around Shedeur Sanders, there's a wave of criticism trying to drag him down. And honestly, it ticks me off. The kid hasn't even been given a full shot yet, and already the noise is deafening. Let's start with the depth chart. Cleveland didn't just draft Shedeur, they drafted Dillon Gabriel too. And the moment that happened, the media pounced. Quarterback controversy in Cleveland. Two rookies competing for scraps. Neither guy ready. We've heard it all. And instead of letting Shedeur develop, every press conference, every practice rep gets framed like it's a war. Then you throw Joe Flacco into the mix, a veteran with a Super Bowl ring, still hanging on by reputation more than performance, and suddenly people are questioning if Shedeur will even sniff the field this year. And then of course the Deion factor. Let's not act like we don't know how this works. The moment Shedeur's name is brought up, the headlines start dragging his dad into it. Is he just a product of Deion's hype machine? Would he even be in the league without the Sanders brand behind him? That's the lazy narrative. That's the easy out for people who don't want to admit the kid can flat out play. And it's infuriating, because when Shedeur drops back, when he reads a defense, when he rips a throw between two safeties, that's not Deion throwing the ball. That's not a brand. That's talent. Real undeniable talent. And yet what do the critics keep harping on? He's just a fifth-round pick, as if draft position is destiny, as if Tom Brady never happened, as if Brock Purdy didn't just go from Mr. Irrelevant to running the 49ers offense like a surgeon. We've seen this story before. Guys overlooked, undervalued, treated like afterthoughts, only to turn into stars. But when it comes to Shedeur, the same people who celebrate those stories suddenly get selective amnesia. Look, I'll admit the Browns' QB room is chaotic right now. Too many names, too many narratives, too much noise. But that chaos, that's what makes this so dramatic. That's what makes this worth watching. Because buried inside that storm is a quarterback who refuses to be just a footnote. And every snap, every rep, every time he steps onto the field, Shedeur has a chance to flip the script on his critics. And that's why I push back so hard. Because when people dismiss him as just another rookie, they're missing the bigger picture. This isn't just about one preseason drive, or one draft slot, or one flashy headline. This is about a kid who walked into a crowded room, into a league that doubted him, and said, I belong here. And if that doesn't light a fire under Browns fans, I don't know what will. The Bengals calling the Browns. Just pause and let that sink in for a second. Because if you know anything about the AFC North, you know this doesn't happen. These aren't friendly neighbors swapping sugar across the fence. These are blood rivals, teams that live to make each other miserable. And yet here we are, Cincinnati, desperate and exposed, picking up the phone and essentially begging Cleveland for help. That alone tells you how insane this situation really is. It's not just a trade rumor, it's a shot straight to the heart of one of the nastiest rivalries in football. Bengals fans don't want to admit it, but they know it too. The moment Burrow went down, their swagger disappeared, their confidence got stripped away, and now they're trying to crawl to their biggest rival for a lifeline. That's not just desperation, that's humiliation. Now flip it over to Cleveland's side. Can you imagine the reaction if the Browns had folded? If they had actually said, yeah, sure, take Shedeur Sanders off our hands, just give us a couple mid-round picks. It would have been a disaster. Every headline in America would have shredded them. Browns gift future star to rival. Cleveland fleeced again. The memes, the jokes, the late-night roasts. It would have been never-ending. Browns fans who've endured decades of heartbreak and dysfunction would have lost their minds. But that didn't happen. Jimmy Haslam and the front office didn't blink. They slammed the door shut so hard it echoed across the entire AFC North. No negotiation, no counter, just silence. And in a rivalry this heated, silence is the coldest insult you can deliver. It was Cleveland saying, we're not your savior, we're not your solution, we're your problem. And you know what? That's strength. That's what this franchise has been missing for years. Too many times Cleveland has played the role of the doormat, making trades that benefit other teams, letting rivals feast on their mistakes. Not this time. This time they stood tall. And it's a message not just to Cincinnati, but to Pittsburgh and Baltimore too. The Browns aren't bending anymore. Because think about the bigger picture. The AFC North isn't just any division. It's a war zone. Every single game feels like a playoff matchup, and every single edge matters. The Browns refusing to help the Bengals is more than just protecting a rookie quarterback. It's a declaration of intent. It's saying, if you stumble, we're not picking you up. We're stepping over you on our way to the top. And that's what makes this moment so powerful. A rivalry that was already heated just got gasoline poured on it. Bengals fans are furious. Browns fans are proud. And the rest of the division, they're watching, knowing this standoff could define the balance of power for years to come. And the craziest part, this fire is just getting started. Here's where we have to step back and really look at the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about one injury to Joe Burrow. It's not just about one phone call between the Bengals and Browns. This is about the future. This is about legacy. This is about whether Cleveland finally breaks the cycle of being the NFL's punchline or if they fall right back into old habits. And for me, the answer comes down to one name, Shedeur Sanders. See, if the Browns stay patient, if they actually hold their ground and let this kid develop, the payoff could be massive.
We're talking about a quarterback who already has the poise, already has the confidence, already has that it factor that you can't teach. And as the reps pile up, as the game slows down for him, you start to see the potential, the accuracy, the leadership, the way teammates respond to him. You can see a path where Shedeur Sanders doesn't just become another name on the depth chart, he becomes the face of a new Browns era. But let's be real about the flip side. Imagine if Cleveland had caved. Imagine if they'd handed him over to Cincinnati for scraps, a couple of mid-round picks, nothing close to his real value. Picture Shedeur in Bengal stripes, tossing touchdowns to Jamar Chase, breathing life back into Cincinnati's season while Cleveland sits back empty-handed. That would have been the nightmare scenario. Not just losing a talented rookie, but handing your biggest rival the exact weapon they needed to bury you. And you know the headlines would have written themselves. Browns self-destruct again. Cleveland can't get out of its own way. That's the story we've all seen too many times. But this time, they said no. They held firm. And in that decision, they gave themselves a shot at rewriting history. Because Shedeur Sanders represents something we haven't seen in Cleveland for a long, long time. Hope. Real, tangible, exciting hope at the quarterback position. Not just a stopgap. Not just a name filling space on a roster, but a player you can actually believe in. A player who can sell tickets, sell jerseys, and maybe, just maybe, lead this franchise where it's never been before. And I'll be honest with you, that's why this whole situation matters so much. Because it's not just about a trade that didn't happen. It's about a mindset shift. The Browns finally stood up and said, we're not handing over our future for somebody else's short-term fix. We're not playing the fool anymore. So here's my prediction. If Cleveland keeps Shedeur, if they nurture him, if they give him the reps and the patience to grow, this kid could change everything. He could be the one that makes people stop laughing at the Browns and start fearing them. He could be the one that finally turns Cleveland from a cautionary tale into a contender. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about a rookie. This is about Cleveland finally refusing to be the punchline.